Another runaway city boy getting too high. But boys like you tell pretty lies. The 5 a.m. low in your eyes says your heart is changing. Now we don't dare.
This is Broad Radio. For you, by you. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Hello and welcome to Broad Radio. I'm Jo Stanley and my co-host today is the gorgeous Anjali Rao. Hello, Ange.
Hello, my darling. And before we go any further, happy birthday.
Ah, thanks. It is my birthday today. Yes, I'm 49. I'm 49. Ange, how did it happen?
Oh, my word. And how are we feeling about that?
Oh, look, I keep reading research that tells me that 45 to 55-year-olds are the least satisfied in Australia and more often report being unhappy. So I actually feel very blessed and honestly happy to be here. I think that all you can do every day is to celebrate getting older because, you know, it is a blessing, don't you reckon?
Absolutely. As my parents would always say, it's better than the alternative.
That's right. So anyway, I'm really thrilled to be here and thrilled to have you back on the show, Ange. I know that you're so busy, so it's a real blessing to have you with us on Broad Radio today.
Oh, thanks, darling. I have really, really missed you and all of our delightful viewers. And I'm just really, really happy to be back, finally.
Yes. So today on the show, we have Natalie Angel from Let Me Try Before You Buy, which is an internet sensation, Instagram sensation. She is a true angel, Natalie Angel, because she helps us shop online with confidence because fashion is not always our friend, of course.
No, it certainly is not.
No. And another angel is joining us, Natasha Johnston from Drought Angels, which is an amazing charity that she set up helping farming families through the toughest of times. And wrapping up the show is comedian Nelly Thomas, who, oh, well, she may be an angel sometimes, but she's going to be sharing with us how she's going dating over 40. She's newly single and she's dipped her toe into the dating pool and, oh, I don't know how it went.
Absolutely terrifying, even the thought of it.
Yes. So that's all coming up after this. Broad Radio is proudly supported by Chemist Warehouse. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. And just a little bit of housekeeping at the top. If you're watching on Facebook, we would love it if you could like and follow us. If you're watching on YouTube, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. All of those numbers really help us, of course, as we're growing. And you can catch up with all of the episodes of Broad Radio on our podcast, Broad Radio on the Go, wherever you get your podcasts. And we always invite you to join us by telling us your opinions on various things that we might ask you. We run a one-question poll, our More to Say poll, every week. And if you go to the website broadradio.com.au, you can enter this and you go into the running for winning some beautiful $100 worth of Charlie's Fine Food Company Bickies, delicious. So we encourage you to do that. Also, we encourage you, as you're watching today, it would be awesome if you would comment or share your thoughts, ask questions. It would be great to hear from you in this conversation. So, Ange, recently our latest question was when it comes to online shopping, where do you sit? Are you an online shopper yourself?
I'm a prolific online shopper. Just ask my postman.
I can't do it. Let me tell you, 10% said they were addicted. I've got packages arriving 24/7. Would that be you?
That would be me. Twice a day sometimes.
Wow.
I know, it's a bit full on. But so, you know, that I was have been recently filming Real Housewives of Melbourne.
Yes.
And so it's specifically for that at the moment, just constant deliveries of clothes and shoes and jewelry and bags and blah, 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 blah. But even so, I was still a pretty big online shopper. So it wasn't that much of a departure.
Well, so you're unusual because according to our listeners who filled in this survey, 61% say they sometimes go there, but they much prefer bricks and mortar. And I would say I do also because I'm an epic fail. My hit rate with online shopping is 0.
How so?
I don't know. I can never work out the sizes, or I can't work out whether it's going to fit me properly. You know, it's going to be too huggy around the areas I don't want it to be huggy, all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, we see. I'm also a prolific returner. The car boot is usually full of things that I have to return. But I just really enjoy it because you get to see sort of all the colours and the different styles and everything just all in one place. I really like that. I'm a bit of a magpie, I suppose, when it comes to that.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about all those things with Natalie Angel in just a moment, but I wanted to bring up 2 stories that have caught my eye this week, Ange, because I feel like they're kind of slightly related, okay? And I'll get to the segue in a moment. You'll be amazed at how good I am at that. But there were 2 stories. One, the headline was, Women in Ukraine Army Forced to Parade in Heels, okay? And then the second was swimming cap for afros. Yeah, look at that. I know. And the second story was swimming caps for afros banned at the Olympics. Okay. Now, for me, these are very different stories, but they relate to the same thing. And that is that women for centuries have been controlled by what we are forced to wear. So the Ukraine army have sort of apologised and said they probably won't pursue the heels. All right.
Well, if they do, then the blokes should be wearing them too. Exactly
right. Everybody.
And I don't know, how are they going to fight the Russians in those?
Just smack them with a stiletto. I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work. But the thing is that I'm really passionate about women feeling free to express themselves, and girls and teenagers, right? And for centuries, when you think about it, clothing has been used to limit our potential. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Even, growing up and being at primary school, and we still had to wear skirts even through the winter, where, the boys could wear shorts in the summer and long pants in the winter, but we never had that option. It was only little skirts, no matter what the weather was, because we're girls and girls don't wear pants, do they?
Yeah, well, this has actually just started now. My daughter's 12 and her school she gets to wear pants to her primary school, and her high school, they've introduced pants in their uniform, which is critical. In fact, the research shows that girls, as they grow older, participate in sport less because they don't like what they have to wear. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like, who wants to go out and play netball in a tiny little skirt? That sounds awful to me.
Look, I did enjoy that, but that was after I changed from an all-girls school to mixed.
I see.
But yeah, no, I love it when I get to go to my son's primary school. He's in year 6, and I see the girls in winter. They can wear skirts if they want. They can wear long pants if they want. There are not the limitations now that we certainly faced. And I really, really love that. I think, God, I know it's only a pair of tracksuit bottoms, but go girls.
Yeah, it has a very massive impact on them expressing who they are. Being able to play freely in the playground. I mean, girls are always upside down.
Yeah.
That's all they want to do is hang upside down on the monkey bars. And, that stops because they're wearing skirts and they feel self-conscious. So, yeah, that's an amazing thing. You think about the amount of clothing over the centuries that have controlled women. I did a little Google. It's things like corsets, of course, binding feet in China.
Oh, of course, yes.
Women weren't allowed to wear pants like back in the day, and I discovered this amazing woman called Louisa Capitillo, who in 1919 in Puerto Rico, she went to jail for wearing those pants because she was a feminism.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. Can you believe it? Like, it is a political thing, what women are allowed and not allowed to wear, how we're permitted to express ourselves with our clothing. So, and when it comes to the swimming caps, and the fact that FINA have said that they're not going to permit these swimming caps, that is excluding women of a certain cultural background, women with thick afro hair. It's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of understand one side of the argument there, which is FINA's side, and they say, well, we're looking into the science as to whether the different shape of the swimming cap that would be required if you had afro hair might give you an advantage in the water, the way that the water goes over the cap. I sort of can understand that maybe there's something there. I don't know. But yes, it does seem incredibly exclusionist. And what are you supposed to do if you do have afro hair? If you do have, wear dreadlocks in certain cultures, are the way that you go. Does that mean that you can't be an elite swimmer?
Well, that's
because
right.
you just would not be able to wear regular swimming caps.
That's right. So the makers of Soul Cap have said that they're all about, and the reason they even sort of began was about broadening swimming as a sport for all different cultures. And traditionally, people from those sorts of backgrounds have not really included themselves in swimming as a sport. So if you want to follow along, go to @SoulCapOfficial. They are working really hard to try and convince FINA otherwise. So this is my segue, Ange.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
this is what I've been waiting for.
All right. So these stories caught my eye because we are going to be talking now with our next guest. She's got a huge following for her ability to help us purchase with confidence, which I love as a concept. But I think that she's taking back fashion from those who control fashion and allowing us to find clothes that make us feel good, right? I feel like it's a really important thing that this woman is doing. She is an angel, and her name is Natalie Angel from Let Me Try Before You Buy. Hello, Nat. It's great to see you.
Hello, how are you? Am I not? Hang on, let me get in the right position here. How are you guys?
No, you look fantastic, and you're in the perfect position
brilliant
there. So you heard me talking there, Nat, about the way women are controlled and our potential is limited, I think, by clothing a lot of the time. And I'm digging right in here, okay? When I say that women's clothes, they don't come in all sizes, women of certain shapes can't find clothes to fit them, do you reckon fashion has a real impact on the way we see ourselves as women?
I think that the key message, because I was listening to what you were saying, and I think that what we tolerate is what we say is okay. So as women, if we allow that to happen, if we participate, okay, in that conversation, and if we allow ourselves to sit in a certain lane, then yes. But I hope that what I'm doing is I'm hoping to encourage women to be themselves. And we are actually, it's my belief, it is my true belief that we are the most powerful people on the planet. We create human life. We have the biggest impact on our children. And so it's the message that we're providing to our daughters and to our sons with how to treat and view women. There is no one in a more powerful seat than us, like no one. And so I choose not to participate. I choose to walk my own path. I choose to create the content like you women are doing. Let's be clear on that. You're creating your own radio with your own topics and your own subjects. So you're walking your own path. So as women, I challenge women and I hope to inspire women to see what I'm doing with my feed, which was different, which was new, which was awkward, which was strange, okay, when it first came out. So I choose not to participate. So I just don't entertain that, Joe. I'm sorry. And so I hope to inspire women. And that's why I try on lots of different clothes from lots of different brands. I'll style garments for different women with different shapes because I want them to find their style. But they have to choose to participate. They have to choose to be kind to the woman in their mirror, okay, and give her permission to shine.
Not that easy.
That's pretty massive. You see the two of us just went, oh my God.
Yeah, I saw it.
I was like, what?
No, I love that you said it, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't apologise. You don't need to apologise to us for saying that. But you're right, Ange. It's easier said than done.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I'm still a long way off loving that person in the mirror quite often, I think. Yeah, it's difficult. But look, Nat, your Insta is absolutely brilliant. It sort of reminds me of, you as the Celeste Barber of fashion. And, the service that you provide is inspirational because, we don't always get it right with online shopping. Some of us always get it wrong. Apparently, Joe Stanley is one of them. And we feel like we actually don't know how to dress our bodies, particularly as we age, and also, our body shape changes. What led you to start Let Me Try Before You Buy?
Because I didn't have confidence with the woman in front of my mirror once I had my son. I had an emergency C-section. I had an insanely traumatic birth, which I didn't realize at the time. And so I didn't recognize the woman in my mirror because pre-having my son, I was super confident, like crazy confident with how I was dressing. And because my lifestyle had changed as well, Ange, I'd gone from a corporate environment to a stay-at-home mum environment, and I didn't know what those women wore. So I had to kind of try and find my own way. So when I went online and trying to look for inspiration, because I'm like you, Ange, I heavily shop online. I much prefer the experience of trying garments on in my own wardrobe so I can pull on garments in my own wardrobe to create looks rather than in the store. And I just found that there wasn't the type of content that I was wanting. Like, I wanted to know, what do the jeans look like from the back? Okay, what do the jeans look like from the back? Like, what does the dress look like from the back? And I wanted to see movement. I wanted to see how the garment drapes on the body from the front and from the back. And so I couldn't see the type of content that I was looking for, and so I created it myself.
And so also, though, I think you want to see the clothes on not a size 6 person.
I think that there is definitely, we have been complicit as women in tolerating how fashion has been advertised.
Oh, I feel like you're telling me off all the time today now.
This is the thing. Someone's got to say it. Someone's got to say it. We have been complicit. So
but
I
we're not. How am I? Sorry, I want to hear about the size 14 clothes and but like the different models. But I can't. I have to ask you, how have I been complicit when I'm not in charge of a fashion house or a fashion label?
Do you realise how powerful you are as somebody with a social media account? A comment. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Fashion Brand. I'm really interested in your products, but I would love to see it demonstrated on a woman that I identify with, maybe 40 plus. Joe, I don't know what size you are, darling. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe offering.
Sometimes I don't know.
She's teeny weeny.
Like, as there is no one more powerful than a woman, okay, with a social media account. And I challenge all of you to use it positively. I don't tolerate any negativity on my social media, any at all. So we can positively talk to brands and we can positively tell them what we want, because we've just been silent. We've just been silent and not engaged, not purchasing, etc., etc. And so the brand thinks that they're doing everything great. So it's kind of, I just think that we have a lot of power. And what I wanted to demonstrate in my heart of hearts, that women over 40 want to buy fashion. Well, guess what? 100% of us need to be clothed. So there's a huge market there. Okay, there's a huge market there. And what I wanted to do was demonstrate that a woman over 40, a size 16 woman over 40, can talk about fashion, okay? And, my intent was my intent isn't sales. That's the outcome, because I focus on the needs of the consumer. But the sales that my videos drive is so powerful because I'm meeting the needs of the women watching me. I'm answering their questions. Okay, and I'm hopefully giving them, because what Ange was talking about before is correct. A lot of women don't know how to put outfits together. Okay, and is that, Joe and Ange, because we watched our mums in front of the mirror saying, I'm fat, I can't wear that because I've got a tummy. I can't wear that because I'm over 50, blah, 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 blah. And so psychologically, through watching our mums, okay, be a total cow to the woman in her mirror, okay, that's now passed on to us. So, babe, what I want to do is I want to tell you that you're beautiful. Both of you are absolutely magically divine and glorious in your uniqueness. And I want to see you. I want to see who you are, and I want to see you enjoying fashion.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
I got it. You know what? You have lit up our social media. We're hearing from people saying you are empowering me. It's so wonderful to hear what you're saying. And Linda agrees. We really are so much more powerful than we think. How divine. And you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. My God, it's just sort of reminding me of all sorts of things, because I've changed wildly size-wise in the last 10 years. Jo knows this, that about 10 years ago I was a 00, very, very unhealthy. But prior to that, I was about a 14 to 16. I'm a 10 now. But and I just remember those days of just not being able to find anything that looked good on me when I was, a 14. Why are, women like I was in those days ignored by labels?
Well, this is something that I'm desperately trying to challenge. So when I speak to brands, often, so I've had several brands now dabble in a size 16. And then now, because of my videos, they're fully stocking a full size 16 across their whole range. Okay, and hopefully in time, that will just keep continuing to an 18, to a 20. Because we didn't participate as larger women, because we made assumptions about that brand, and because the brand didn't make us feel welcome. Okay. Now, how a brand makes us feel welcome is through diversity in their advertising. I believe that the majority of Australian women are kind of over pretty pictures. All right. We want reality. We want to see ourselves reflected on our social media feed. And so the brands who do that, the brands who have diversity, especially in the age of the women that they have modeling their clothes, the ethnic diversity, ethnicity, and also the size. There's nothing wrong with the size 6 woman. I don't mean any ill will towards her. She needs to be clothed as well. But it's just more diversity across the board. So every single brand, I would say probably 80% of the brands that I have on my feed service up to a size 20. And it's the pressure. I put a lot of pressure on my brands all the time to increase their sizing.
You are changing the landscape for us, and I am deeply grateful for how incredibly insistent you are.
I need you girls to participate, babes. I need you guys to participate.
I think,
okay,
well,
and I don't.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't care what size you are. Like, do you girls care what size I am? If you've watched my videos, and I don't mind if you haven't. It's like, do I look any less beautiful, than anyone else on the street because I'm a size 16?
No, and I think you're exactly right, that it is about changing the way we speak to ourselves. And also my daughter is 12, so I'm very aware of the way I speak about myself in front of her, because it is about empowering ourselves to like who we are, but also with the knowledge, and that's what you're doing. How do I dress? How do I pair clothing, top and bottom? What's going to work best for, whatever look I'm going for? I don't think that all of us are armed with that kind of knowledge as well. I wonder, you must have had so many women reach out to you and say, thank you so much, you've changed my life. Have you got a story of someone who really kind of moved you?
It happens. I've got a little Facebook group, and that Facebook group is for women who enjoy my content. And then what they do, guys, is they then, will share pictures of themselves. I bought this top from Natalie's video, and this is how it works on me. I'm a size 12 or I'm a size 22. And then so what happens is then women are seeing the same garments that were on me on other women, different heights, different ages, different shapes. But and that's very helpful to women. I get messages all the time. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. It makes me cry just thinking about it. But I'm desperate to do it. Like, I'm desperate for women to stop being terrible to themselves. I'm so sorry, but it's just like, we've just got to stop it, and it's just, my thing is every summer I want women swimming, and I want them in their bathers, having a great time, not sitting on the bloody beach fully dressed. I want them playing with their friends, or their children, and having a nice time, and not thinking that they're not worthy of a fucking swimsuit. Do you know what I mean?
And I read but just think about that, Nat, as well. No, God, absolutely.
I love it. It's so great.
But also what you were saying about, your big thing is getting women into swimsuits and feeling great about it. But black is not your friend. Your colour and pattern. But, when you are larger, as I remember what it was like, it's black as your go-to because you think that that's the only thing you're deserving of.
Well, that is actually the number one mistake. Okay, so may I stand up? Is that okay,
Please,
Jo?
yes, we'll stand up. You might have to stand back a bit. Yeah, there you go.
If you think about colour, okay,
Yes.
if you think about makeup or if you think about a painting, the light colours come forward and the black colours, the dark colours recede. Okay, so if you cover your body in a black swimsuit, the part of your body that is black recedes and the tops of your arms and the tops of your thighs, which are the closest to the colour black, come forward.
Yes.
So by wearing a black swimsuit, you're amplifying the tops of your arms and the tops of your thighs.
You see, this is what's so brilliant about you. You just
Who knew? Seriously, who knew?
I don't ever want to say I'm anti anything because my job is not to have an opinion on a colour choice or a pattern choice. But I just want women to think about, often it's like short women wearing, they crop themselves all the time. They wear jackets that finish at their hips. And so they're shorter women constantly are making themselves look shorter. Whereas they should be wearing maxi dresses, long cardigans, long jackets to elongate themselves. So there's a lot of women are actually achieving the exact opposite of what they're attempting to do.
Well, but I think that comes back to women trying to disappear. We try to make ourselves smaller and lesser, and what you're challenging us to do today, and I am so empowered and really I love how passionate you are about it too. You have shifted my world today, Nat, because you are saying love who you are, and we just need more of that because we just don't, do we?
Well, I think it's connecting the dots because as women, like, I don't care what your age is. I don't think that your age defines what you can wear. I think it's women giving themselves permission to enjoy the clothes that they're visually attracted to. Okay, and so it's like, it's like how it's giving them the confidence and the tools to understand how to wear a pair of pleather pants without looking sexy. So how can I achieve that? How can I wear a pair of Converse high top sneakers? How can I look modern and fresh without looking like I'm being inauthentic? It's those types of things. So it's finding the clothes that you want to wear and understanding how to wear them for your body shape. I don't care how old you are. Doesn't matter.
Oh, Nat, thank you so much. It's just been a joy to speak with you. Please do go to Let Me Try Before You Buy. Every video, I have to say, I've learned something. Sleeve allowance is a new term I've come across.
Ooh.
Sleeve allowance.
What's sleeve allowance?
Oh, sleeve allowance. So that's where I talk about the width in an arm. And often in the larger sizes, as you get larger, especially kind of really, in my opinion, starts to happen after a size 16 and up, our body becomes less proportionate. And so our arm sizes increase, yet brands, when they're doing their grading of their garments, they're only allowing like 2 centimeters per size.
Oh.
So often as you get in the larger, so I talk about arm allowance all the time because that's the killer. In the smaller sizes, it's not so common, but in the larger sizes, and also boob allowance. Do you know what I mean? Like big titty committee, you've got to look after.
Oh, I know what you mean about that. God.
I've got to tell you, there's so many people saying, please, women should be able to feel good about themselves. Thank you so much, Joanne, for that comment. And Mandy, who is from Two Peas in a Podcast, I don't know if you know Mandy and that podcast, amazing. She says, every woman needs to get their personal colours done. Okay, so many tips. Oh my God, it's just been amazing to speak with you, Nat Angel. Thank you so much. And do go to Let Me Try Before You Buy. I'm a huge convert. Thank you so much, Nat.
I really appreciate the opportunity and lovely to meet you two ladies.
Yeah.
You too. It's been such a pleasure.
It has. We could talk to you for hours and maybe we'll get you back another time. But we've got so many other amazing guests on the show today, so we've got to keep moving. But thank you so much, Nat.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
We'll have more Broad Radio after this. Oh my goodness, Ange, since we've broadcast, we have crossed to New York, London, Kenya. You and I crossed to Antarctica, right?
Yes.
But this is the first time that we are crossing to rural or remote Australia. We are joining Natasha Johnston from Drought Angels, and she's in Chinchilla, which is a picturesque town of Queensland. Hello, Natasha. I've got my Nats mixed up. I'm going to call you Tash. It's much easier. Hi there, Tash.
Hi, ladies. How are you? Happy birthday,
Really
Joe.
well, thanks.
Oh, thanks.
Yay!
I tell you what, I've been soundly told off and / inspired by our last guest, and you are equally inspiring, Tash.
Yeah.
So you are the founder of Drought Angels, and I'm really pleased to welcome you because I want to envelop rural Australia very much with Broad Radio. Can you tell us about Drought Angels and why you started it?
Absolutely. Drought Angels was actually supposed to be a project for 3 to 6 months. The rains were going to come and the drought was going to break. But I actually heard about a farmer here in Queensland who was trying to sell his stock through the drought. And he had the trucks come to take them to market. But when they got there, the cattle were too poor to go on the truck. So the trucks left empty and left the farmer with the cattle. This farmer then didn't know what to do other than he had to shoot them all. But then he shot his working dogs and then he also turned the gun on himself. And that just took me back to a time in the early 90s when my parents had a property at Melbourne here in Queensland and the banks were knocking. My mother was working 2 jobs, working 18 hours a day. She had a massive breakdown on the kitchen floor. And years later, I actually found out my mother almost committed suicide. And I just needed to do something to stop another farmer from taking their life, another family from losing a loved one. And that's how Drought Angels began.
Oh my God, it's just, you can't even imagine what that would be like going through something like that, Tash. But I'm interested in specifically what work it is that you do with Drought Angels.
So here at Drought Angels, we focus on financial assistance and what our families need rather than what they can get told, what they can be given. So we'll try to tailor the assistance to our families. With the financial assistance, we'll give them prepaid visas so that they can go and spend them in their local towns, in their local communities, support the local businesses, but get what it is that they need. And then other cases, we'll go a little bit further with working with our families. Like one family rang wanting some food vouchers so she could save her the FHA, which is the Farmer's Household Allowance, to buy a new fridge. They had 5 children, the fridge had broken down, they were using Eskies, and they just needed a new fridge. So, we were we can help you with a new fridge and some food vouchers. So each family is different, so we will tailor that assistance to each family.
What I really love is that you say, we don't want our farmers feeling like they're getting a handout. We just tell them that it's a thank you. And I feel like we need to connect the rest of Australia in the cities with the farmers that put food on our table. Do we need to do a better job of that?
I think we do. I think definitely we do. I think, our farmers do feel forgotten by the country. We're definitely building that gap. We're certainly building it. I think we still have a long way to go. And, people can do that every day when they go and do their shopping at the supermarkets, just making that conscious decision, checking where it's from. Is it Australian? Changing out those few products or, fresh fruit and veggies to the Australian ones, supporting your Australian farmers, but also going to your farmers markets. You're also supporting farmers by going to the local farmers markets and buying directly from the farmer. And can I say, please don't haggle with them when you go to the farmers markets.
Yeah.
That few dollars is a big difference to that farmer. So please, when you're making a purchase at a farmer's market, don't haggle with them.
Tash, I know that your work plays a pivotal part in addressing suicide and depression rates amongst farmers. Talk us through that part of what you do.
Well, I think connected with my family and what we went through is it was always the financial aspect. For my parents, it was keeping the food on the table, keeping the bills paid, the roof over our head. So I think with Drought Angels, we started doing hay and stock feed, but I think there's enough organisations doing that. And, when a truckload of hay was costing us $15,000, we sat down and worked and thought about it and went, that $15,000 can pay an awful lot of bills and keep an awful lot of food on those families' tables. So that's when we switched to focusing more with the prepaids and the financial assistance. If you've got that cloud, that financial burden hanging over your head about, I've got to go down the street and I've got to buy some fruit and veggies, but I'm going to run into, Bill or Bob or Mary and I owe them money. It's hard walking down the street when you owe people money. So if we can help people pay those local bills so they can walk down the street and hold their head high, that helps with their mental health. And I think there's so many aspects to mental health, I believe, and by giving people their dignity, keeping their dignity, and making those financial choices just really, I think, help save lives. But we know, I've actually had 3 farmers in the last month have contacted us and said to us that, Tash, if it wasn't for you guys, we would have lost our farm. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. And that was my goal from the beginning, was, saving their life and saving their farm, because a lot of the time if they're going to lose their farm, that's when they're going to take their life as well. So, if we can do both, I think, we're achieving things here at Drought Angels.
And Tash, can you give us some insight into what it's like for women who are living in rural communities and those really remote areas? Because I feel like if you're a farmer on the land, you're a family, it's all hands on deck, I imagine. So there's some pretty incredible, resilient women out there.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the time, it's the ladies that are the glue. They're the ones holding the family together. They're worrying about their husband. They're worrying about their kids. They're educating their kids, as well at home, whether it's through School of the Air or home education, because they don't have access to, the schools close by. A lot of families have had to pull their kids out of boarding school because they haven't been able to afford to keep them there. So, mum is, running the business, feeding the kids, putting the food on the table, making the meals, being the teacher, doing everything. So our women on the land are pretty tough, but they're amazing. They wouldn't change it for anything, and I don't think any of us would want them to, but I think we just need to give them a little bit of support where we can and show them and remind them how important they are. And actually just seeing Natalie has just given me this brainwave of some workshops, out in rural areas. If we could get Natalie out to some rural areas doing some workshops on, on dressing, I think that would be a real boost for our ladies.
Oh, I love that idea.
That would be absolutely amazing. What a great idea.
Because we don't always want to wear blunt stones.
There's so many workshops that they'll do in the rural communities, the small towns, because most communities have got their little hub. Like some towns don't have towns, they're a little hub. It might be just a hall, and the ladies will get together there and have their drought drinks, or their sip and paints, that painting that's behind me there. They'll do different workshops. But I was just thinking, taking Natalie out with some fashion garments and making our ladies feel beautiful would be so much fun.
Oh, I love that.
Absolutely. Got to pass that on to her. I do want to ask you, obviously, COVID had such a huge impact on, campaigns all around the world and the ability to raise money. How did COVID affect you and Drought Angels?
Hugely has affected us here. We took about a 73% drop in donations. Most of our funding comes from the Australian public, and it was always people out in the public who were doing fundraisers for us, whether it be, the little kid having their lemonade stand at the front of the house to big gala events. They all got cancelled, and, they still really haven't gotten back up and going because, people are constantly getting shut down or locked down, and people just don't have the confidence to hold the fundraising events for us. So it has been a challenge. We're definitely trying to work on that. We're trying to target some more corporates, whether corporates would like to partner with us a bit more. We've got our own online supermarket now, whereas people used to do grocery collections for us and have them delivered to us. We've actually now had to switch to having our own online supermarket, our Farmers Pantry, so people can actually go onto our website and look for the Farmers Pantry and do a grocery shop online, and then those groceries come direct out of the Metcash warehouse in Brisbane, and then we can deliver those to our farming families. So we've had to pivot, and we're still trying to pivot. Every day we're trying to think of new ideas to fundraise. I do believe that this financial year is going to be harder than last financial year. Yeah, so we're trying to come up with ideas all the time.
Well, I challenge us all to think about you guys and those in our rural and remote parts of Australia more often than when Farmer Wants a Wife is on, because, you know, we would be lost without our farmers. So I'm saying thank you to you, and a great way of saying thanks would be to head along to droughtangels.org.au and make a donation if you're able, because there's no doubt there are a bunch of very resilient people out there, but they need some help from all of us. Thank you so much, Tash, for joining us on Broad Radio.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I'll just give a shout out to our mouse appeal that we've got going at the moment. We are trying to fundraise for the mice plague. Like, these mice are literally eating their way through everything, through the homes, the refrigerators, their underwear drawer, their clothing, their linen. So we are desperately trying to fundraise to help our farmers with some more financial assistance that have been impacted by the mice.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, make sure you get along to droughtangels.org.au. Thanks so much, Tash. We are absolutely thinking of you all there in regional Australia and sending our love.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll have more Broad Radio after this.
I'm in a new stratosphere.
Well, at Broad Radio, we are growing because of the amazing partnerships that are supporting us, and one such partnership is Saba Organics, one of the world's only 100% certified organic range of skin and body care. So whether it's hand wash or hand sanitizer or cleaning products for our home, of course, none of us want to be covering our skin in toxins or chemicals. But how do we really know what goes into the products that we use? Well, even when it's described as natural ingredients, those ingredients have generally been exposed to toxic herbicides and pesticides in farming, which of course is damaging to the earth and to our body. But Saba Organics is 100% certified organic, which guarantees no aluminium, no sulfate or parabens and no toxic chemicals. And they work directly with Australian organic farmers, growers and suppliers, which is fantastic to hear. I love the Saba Organics lemon tea tree and Kunzia hand wash, but you can check out their whole range at sabaorganics.com.
Australians know that sun exposure can cause skin cancer, but dermatologists also know that it can cause wrinkles, pigmentation and age spots. That's why you need sunscreen every day. Ask your Chemist Warehouse pharmacist which sunscreen is right for your skin.
Broad Radio. Talking inspo we love, info we need, and sharing more of us. Watch and listen live every Tuesday 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at broadradio.com.au, or find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn at Broad Radio Oz. Talk to us live. Call on 1300 8 Broad. Catch up on demand anytime, anywhere, every time, everywhere. On the train, we'll be here. 2 a.m. existential crisis? We've got you covered. Broad Radio. Here for more.
And what incredible women we have had on the show today. And I think we can top it off with this amazing chick who's joining us now, comedian Nelly Thomas. Hi, Nelly.
The two Nats. The mind is blown. I'm like buying a multicolored swimsuit. I'm like, I'm certainly over the size 16 and have done wear everything black. And then the other Nat, I grew up in the country in a farming town. So I'm like making a donut. Oh, stop it.
I know. I'm quite emotional about the women we've had on today.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to them both, the difference they're making in other people's lives.
Yeah.
But, Nelly, you're doing some great stuff yourself.
Well, Or am I? You know, I'm being cryptic because I'm recently single, right, after a 21-year relationship. So I have not dated since, I was trying to work out the exact time. It would be the year 2000 is the last time I've been on a date.
Wow.
So obviously
Lord.
this is like pre-Instagram, it's pre Tinder, all of those kinds of things. It's not pre-internet, but sort of. Like the internet certainly didn't dominate our lives.
Yeah, we didn't internet date back then.
Oh, God, no. God, no. So I'm kind of in this space. I mean, I'm relatively recently single, earlier in the year. So I don't think I'm quite ready, to be honest.
But you put yourself out there. You did.
You too. I feel embarrassed to admit this, but I had look, I won't go into it too much, but I had an interaction. And then
that sounds hot.
No, it's not hot. I wish it was that kind of story. I had an interaction with my ex, who I'm still on very good terms with, but it left me going, I'm going to go on a date. Okay. You know? Okay. It wasn't the best place to decide to date. And so I made myself a profile on one of these thingos, you know, one of these dating things. Yes. Within half an hour, I mean, I don't want to, you know, up myself too much, but I had 50 offers.
Well, I'm going to read.
Why not?
Come on, I'm going to read. Because you sent me the profile, right? And we won't share it with the world because you're bashful, but I'm going to read some of it because it's super solid. Firstly, my interests. I loved this. My interests are cooking. You'll snare a man with that for sure. And dogs. Again, men love dogs, right? Gin, good time girl. Confidence. What a good interest. What a great interest that is. And feminism. And still you got inundated even though you put feminism down.
I know. See, that was a tester. I wasn't stupid. Even though it was the middle of the night and I was in a little bit of a rage. I'm not stupid.
What kind of responses did you get, though? You know how you read them sometimes on, you know, news.com, like the most hilarious Tinder responses. And some of them are just like, oh, you can't go around saying that.
Do you know what? I was so overwhelmed with the prospect, I couldn't even read the responses.
Why?
So I like, really, honestly, because I think it's not so much a confidence issue a la our first Nat. I mean, there's a bit of that, if I'm completely honest. You know, like I'm 47, I'm a mum, my body's different.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. You know, all of that kind of stuff. Like there's a little bit of that, but I think it's more, to be honest, I'm just not emotionally ready. It was too soon. So the prospect, it was nice to have interest, if I'm honest. But the prospect of actually even flirting with someone at this point, I think I realised really quickly, if you're not even in the space where you want to flirt with someone, you're not ready to be on a date, you know? So I didn't read the responses. I just kept seeing people being interested and then freaked out and deleted the app.
Oh, no.
But I tell you, when I'm ready, I'll come back and share. Don't worry about that.
What was it that made you not, like, emotionally not ready? What do you think? Is it because you got to give a piece of yourself, a little teeny smidge of yourself every time you interact with someone?
I think, look, I'm really sociable. So I was drawn to the idea of, like, I had this, you know, Sex in the City kind of dating vibe in my mind, kind of going, I'll go for cocktails and, you know, we'll sit there for an hour and it'll be lovely. We'll have great conversation and there'll be flirtation and I'll be, you know, fabulous in my, you know, multicolored swimsuit. And then I thought, what if they like me? You know, like I'm not, I think when you've been with someone for like 2 decades, who I'm still on very good terms with and still really good friends with, it's, I don't know, the heart's not there yet is the way I'd put it.
No, I completely get that, Nelly, because
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Like, I separated from my husband. Well, I left, I think it was 9 years ago now, and then divorced the year later. And it took me ages. Everybody thought that I'd be, dancing on the bar tops like, whoa, my God. It was the total opposite. At least a year until I started dating anybody. And then I went on a couple of dates with this guy who was really nice, ticked all the boxes. Except that he was a property developer and run a mile. But he did something that was so unconscionable to me at the time. On our second date, he had the audacity to bring me a gift. And that was it. That was it. It's just too much. Oh my God. I still have it. It's still on full display in my house. He bought me my initials. You know those like silver letters that you can get, like chunky silver letters? Mm-hmm. So he bought me an A and an R. That was it. But that was enough for me to never answer a phone call ever again. I know exactly what you mean. Like the tiniest things going down the track seemed huge at the time.
Yes,
which just says too soon, not ready.
That's a sign. It's not a good place to start dating or trying connecting, even on a casual level. Like I'm in that phase at the moment, which may change because I know I've had friends in this phase. And Ange, you said the same thing when we spoke before. I'm like, I'm never living with anyone again. And that's not because it was a disaster. It's because I just want my independence and my freedom. So I'm not looking for a husband, a wife, or anything. I'm like, it's more that sort of dating. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? But even that's freaking me out. So even just the logistics of it, when you think it's a completely different thing to date when you have children, and then the safety issues, and then being online, it's a whole new world. I mean, I'm from the, you go to a nightclub, you get drunk, you pick up. Do people do that anymore?
Of course.
What's the waxing situation, Ange? Are there rules?
I could never do the online thing. I just couldn't. I tried it once and I lasted about 5 minutes and it just scared me so badly. And this is years after my divorce. It just scared me so badly. It's like, no. That people are psychos. And
thank you, pick me right up there. Thank you so
much. Which isn't to say that, I did actually meet 4 boyfriends on Twitter. And my friends had to remind me that Twitter is not a dating site. But
I mean, Twitter's far more reasonable, Ange. You're right.
I know.
Far out.
Yeah. Oh my God! But it's just you've got to put yourself out there and write all this stuff about yourself, and it's like, well, do I tell the truth or do I lie like everybody else? I don't know.
Do one thing I really appreciate as I'm starting to get into this space, and I reckon you two will understand that because we're all of a similar age. I know exactly what I want and don't want. So, Jo, when you mentioned before that I put confidence as an interest, I want someone confident.
Yeah.
Like even if, and that doesn't have to mean loud and showy and, comedian-like, but just who's really solid in themselves. And even if it's just, a date every 3 months on a Friday night, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm really clear in terms of criteria of what I'm looking for in a way that, oh my Lord, when I was 20, 25, whatever, I had no idea what I was doing or who I was.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how, because we're of the generation where we all got married in our late 20s, which I would be so worried if my daughter in her mid-20s was thinking of getting married, because I would be saying to her, darling, you don't yet know who you are. And it's interesting because you shared an article that I would encourage people to go along to, actually. It's what was it? It was on sbs.com.au about Gen X women who are happily divorced and won't be repartnering. And one of the things that one of the women said there, my parents' generation left each other in their 50s. Grandmothers didn't leave at all. We're leaving in our 40s, and hopefully my daughter will understand her worth and not marry the wrong person in the first place.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we hope, that we're actually role modeling relationships in different ways, and so that our kids hopefully know how to have a relationship in a more conscious way, maybe?
Well, that's actually what I was talking to my son about recently. He wanted to know about sort of, relationships and why I got divorced and stuff like that. And he said, so I'll be getting married at, and I said 37. I said, so I won't be having sex until then. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. You keep telling yourself that, Ange. That's a good one. I think it's slightly different, but the same message. Like, I'm a really big fan of Dan Savage, the New York Times sex therapist, and he has a great podcast. And recently, after I was separated, I listened to his episode on Bill and Melinda Gates, which was, for anyone who's divorced, separated, out of long-term relationships, I highly recommend, because one of the things he said was, this is not a failure of a relationship just because it ended. It doesn't have to have been a terrible relationship because it ended, or a terrible decision to partner with that person in the first place. You have had a certain number of fantastic years. And I would say that it's certainly in my case that the vast majority of that relationship was fantastic. It was time for it to end, but it wasn't a mistake. And I don't view our family as broken. We're just in a different formation, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And, Jo, you and I have talked about this previously, that the concept of marriage was invented when we died at 17.
That's right.
And now we're just living so much longer. It's actually really unrealistic to think that you'll be with, one person all the way through. And if you can and you're happy, then God, good on you. That's great. Yeah. But I actually don't think that we're designed that way.
I don't think many of us are. And I think at the very least, there has to be, or we have the opportunity now, in the way that our mother's generation, in the way that our grandmother's generation didn't, to actually reassess that. And, having milestone moments like turning 40, having children, COVID, a whole range of things. It's an opportunity in a way to reflect and go, do I want this for another 20 years, another 5 years, for the rest of my life? And if the answer's no, I think the thing I'm now reckoning with, that doesn't have to be a disaster. That doesn't make you or your partner terrible, or your ex terrible, or your children bereft, or your family broken. So,
and it's putting the F word upon yourself when a relationship breaks down, being failure.
Yes.
It wasn't a failure. It was actually a great success.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is again where I love that sort of Dan Savage reframing. I literally imagine him talking to me and going, you were together for 21 years. You have great respect and love for each other. You have 2 beautiful children. Why would you call that a failure?
I do. I couldn't agree with you more, Nelly. I don't know if you'll open with that when you go on your first date.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I might take my ex with me. Just
yes.
No, and I think, you know what? I'm starting, and this is where I can see that I'm starting to heal. Because of course, we're still friends, and we're doing the best we can, and it's the best under difficult circumstances. But it's still a complete emotional clusterfuck. You can't end a 21-year relationship and it not be awful emotionally. So I'm starting now to know that I'm healing when I actually imagine going on a date, for example, and not thinking about my ex or my children or whatever, just thinking about me and just going, flirt with me, come on, look at me. Look at me. I've still got it.
Well, you've got 50 people who wanted to flirt with you and look at you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, you deserve it. You deserve it, Nelly.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to hear. When you get out there, you must join us again and tell us what the date was like.
You know I will, which they'll be thrilled about.
I know. I was just thinking that's probably, again, don't open with that. Like, it's been great to have you on the show again, Nelly, and we'll of course have you on the show again soon. It is now 10:02, so we've gone over time. Not that it matters. Who do we answer to?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Nelly, and thank you so much, Ange. It's been delightful to share the last hour with you as well.
Oh, same here. I have loved every moment, as I always do, and I shall count the minutes until the next one.
Stop it. It's like we're dating. We'll be back.
Come on, then. Come on. I'm free Friday.
We'll be back next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Thanks for joining us on Broad Radio. You have a great week.